In this video, you'll see how to organize the project browser according to different project needs. You'll see how to create custom parameters to help organize the project browser. And you'll also see how to search the project browser to find different views. I have the exercise file, Browser Organization, open. And looking at the project browser here, we can see that we have quite a lot of views created in this project. And as we continue to work on the project, it's likely that we will create more views and end up with a long list which will be difficult to navigate and find the views that you need. Therefore, being able to control the organization of the groups and views within the project browser would make it much easier to navigate through a complex project. Looking at the top of the project browser here, we can see that we have the views group, and here we can see the organization is set to show all views. If I go across to the type selector here, we can see we have the browser organization types. If I choose type discipline and then look back at the project browser here, we can see we now have that organization type selected. And looking below, we can see we have the view types, the floor plans, 3D views, elevations, etc. And then beneath this, we have the discipline, so architectural and coordination. And if I expand out the coordination here, we can then see some of the views that are of that discipline. I'll select a view, and now in the properties palette of that view, we can see the discipline parameter. And if we click on the list here, and we'll change this to the electrical discipline, then in the project browser, we can now see that we have an electrical group, and that view is now within that group. So I'll select back on the views at the top here, and then from the type selector, we'll change it to be the discipline organization type. Now that we can see we have the discipline, architectural, coordination, and electrical first, and then under that we have the view types, so the floor plans, elevations, etc. I'll change the browser organization back to all views, and then we'll expand out some of the groups here, so expand out the floor plans and the interior elevations. And as we look down, we can see the icon next to all of the views, and some of the icons are filled in blue. And this icon indicates whether a view has been placed onto a sheet or not, with the blue icon meaning that it has been placed on a sheet. So if I scroll down, we can see we have the meeting room elevation sheet here. And if I expand this out, we can see those 4 elevation views here that we can see above with the blue icon. So now I'll scroll up and select on the views at the top of the project browser. And now from the type selector, we'll choose the Not on Sheets browser organization. Now we can see that those views that had the blue icon that had been placed on sheets are now no longer visible under the views area of the project browser and are only visible under the sheet that they've been placed upon. We can create our own browser organization types and also use our own custom project parameters to control this. So to show this, we'll go to the Manage Ribbon tab, and from the Settings panel here, we'll click to open the project parameters. So we can see we have some parameters already created, but we'll go down to the bottom of the box here and we'll click to create a new parameter. And we'll assign the name here of Browser Group. And then beneath this, we'll change the type of parameter to be text. And then we'll change the group parameter under to be identity data. And now we need to assign this parameter to the views category. So we'll use the search bar here to search for view, and then we'll select the views category. And now we can click OK to create that parameter. We have an option here to fill out a value for objects that are currently selected. However, we don't have any objects selected, so we'll leave it blank and click OK. And now we'll click OK to close down the project parameters. If I select a view in the browser here, and now go to the properties palette, we can scroll down to the identity data and see now that we have the browser group parameter, and it currently doesn't have a value assigned. So going back to the project browser, we can use the control key to multiple select views. And now in the properties palette, we'll put detail views as the browser group value. So now we can come back and select some more views. So we'll select the 3 setting out views that we have here. And now we can use the drop down for the value here and pick detail views to assign it to the same group as the previous views. So now we'll create our own browser organization. So we'll go to the View ribbon tab. And from the Windows panel here, we'll click the User Interface drop-down and then select Browser Organization. Now in the browser organization settings, we can see we have separate tabs for views, sheets and schedules. And we'll create a new type for the views here, so we'll click the New button and we'll name this Browser Group and then click OK to continue on to its properties. So we don't need to filter any of the views out, so we'll swap to the Grouping and Sorting tab and then we'll choose to group by Browser Group, the parameter we've just created, and then by Family and Type, and then we can click OK to save that new type. So we can see it in the list here, so we'll select it to make it current. And now when we click OK, looking at the project browser, we can see we now have the browser group organization set, and we can see the groups here for detail views. And then the group with the question marks contains all of the other views, as they don't yet have any value in their browser group parameter. So we'll expand this one out and then we'll select some of the floor plans here. So let's get the room layout plans. And now we'll scroll down the properties palette here, and for the browser group parameter, we'll fill out interior views. And then once we apply this, we can see that those views are now in an interior views group and are no longer under the group with the question marks on. So again, we can expand out the interior elevations and then select all of those views. And then using the drop down, we can pick the interior views group, and then they will move into that group within the project browser. So now if we close these up, we can see now that we've got three groups: detail views, interior views, and then the group with the question marks where we've yet to set a value for each of the views. So we can search through the project browser as well to help us find and organize the views. To do this, we'll right click over the views at the top here, then choose search. So we'll type in to find meeting room. And then when we click the next button here, we can see that it searches through and expands out the project browser to show us any view that has the term meeting room in its title. And as we click next, it'll go through all of the views here, and even going down through into the sheets to find that same search term. I'll click previous to go back to the view here and then close. We can see now that we have that view selected, and in the properties palette we can come and change the properties of that view straight away. So now that we have that browser group set up, that completes organizing the project browser.